right, with that last round, we actually finished this bottom part of the pattern. Like I said, these purple and red front post stitches are going to stop. We're going to continue with our rows up, and these white front posts are going to continue up across and continue on for the rest of the bag. So this next round, which is black, has none of the big overlay stitches. It's just going to be single crochet and spike stitches. So it works when you see it together. It's a pattern where we do one side, mirror it over, and then do it back. But when you say it out loud or read it, it does seem a little random. So you may want to write these ones down and be careful with them, because it is a little bit odd when you read it out. So we're going to join the black in the left one of these pairs. So take any pair of the white front post stitches and you just want the left one. We're going to join it right there, and that's our first single crochet. So we start with one single crochet, and now we have 2 spike stitches. So 1 and 2. Sort of space that out. Sometimes those spikes, you need to play with them to even them out a little bit. After the 2 spikes, we're going to do 1 single crochet and then another 2 spikes. 1, 2. Now that we're here in the middle, we're going to have 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2. Now we're going to repeat what we did here. We're just going to do the reverse here. So next up, we just did these 2 singles, so that means working back, we're going to have 2 spike stitches. Get the tail from the other side out of my way there, sorry. So 2 spike stitches followed by 1 single crochet, and finish this last bit out here with 2 more spikes. So that got us through the middle here. Like I said, what you have on this side is just reflected. So what we did here, we repeated backwards here. Now we just got to get over to this one, so we just finish the repeat out with 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. That leaves us set up for the next repeat to start in that front post stitch there. So this is what it looks like when you're done. And the repeat is 1 single crochet, which goes into this front post stitch. So 1 single, 2 spike, 1 single, 2 spike, 2 single, 2 spike, 1 single, 2 spike, and then finish with 2 single crochet to get you to the other side. So that's that's the pattern. Like I said, once you do it a couple of times, it's easier to see it from the pattern than to just read it off of any notes you wrote. But I would write this one down definitely to follow along for all the repeats. So 6 times total. I'll meet you right after you join the 2 ends together. Okay, for round 20, we actually have a little bit of a break. We've been doing lots of weird front posts, lots of these spike stitches, but they look so pretty when you have them done. It adds just so much interest to the piece. I love it. Anyway, for this next one, we're just going to join anywhere and do simple single crochet all the way around. Nothing weird. So I always find that a good time to put in one of my funkier yarns. So if you have anything that's textured or it's got some weird, say a metallic woven into it, anything that's kind of fun that you want to play with, this is a great round to do it, because there's no really complicated stitches, and it's not part of the overall pattern where we have to continue this color for lots of rounds after this to do these front post stitches. You know, this white I have to use through the whole bag. This is just one round here. So this is one of my favorite because it's got these bright sort of little puffs of color every once in a while, but you notice way too small. Very, very fine. So what I do is I take a color that I like that sort of goes with it, and I just do the 2 of them together. So this gives me these little random bits of color and a little texture, but it makes the yarn wide enough to actually work with. So I've got the 2 strings together here. And like I said, since this is just single crochet everywhere, it totally doesn't matter where you start. I'm going to start way over here. Start in any stitch. Join as we always do. That counts as your first single crochet. Don't do another one in that stitch. And just do singles all the way around. So like I said, this is a great time if you have something fun yarn-wise, some artistic yarn, go ahead and throw it in there. If it's too narrow, add something behind it and put 2 together. If it's too wide, it may not work. But you'd be surprised, a lot of sort of funky fuzzy yarn that's labeled bulky, if you look at it in its heart, it's actually pretty thin, so it may work here. So have fun with this round in terms of using up some cool yarn you've got. This is also a great round if you have just a little tail end of something that's a cool color you want to use. Go ahead and do that. Like I said, here with the 2 together, this sort of lime green yellowy color gives me the bulk that I need, and then this fuzzy stuff gives me these little fuzzies of different colors all the way around. So this is one just to have fun with the yarn. Go crazy, do something fuzzy and fun, and single crochets all the way around. Join them when you get to the end, and I'll see you for the next one. On to round 21. This is another round of just single crochet, so no overlay, no spike stitches, nothing weird going on here. We're going to go ahead and connect the black yarn again, just to give some differentiation here. And though it's just single crochet, remember you can join anywhere you want, so I'm going to come over here sort of to this corner. That place where you join, that chain stitch, that counts as your first single crochet, so don't put another one there. And just a word of caution, if you used a textured yarn, especially something a little crazy, this one isn't too bad, watch your stitches, because it's really easy to skip them. Do 2 in 1, because the more textured the yarn is, the harder it is to see. So if it gets really bad, what you can do is actually follow up from around below. Okay, here's a stitch, that means my stitch is right above it. That's where I go ahead and insert my hook. So if the yarn is tough to see, just watch that carefully, and it may not be a bad idea to count the stitches all the way around. You want to make sure it's still 90 stitches. Don't add any, don't lose any. So if the textured yarn is hard to work with for the next round, just be really careful with it. If you screw up here, have a mistake here, it will mess up all the rounds that come after it. So if you can catch those mistakes as you make them, it saves you a lot of heartbreak later down the road. So black yarn, join anywhere, single crochet all the way around. That's it for this round. All right, round 22. We're gonna go back with the white yarn again, and once again connect up with the front post stitches we have below. Now we're going to do it a little differently. Instead of connecting straight up when we're doing this, when we do the front post stitches, we're actually going to cross them. So our first front post stitch is actually going to connect to the second one here, and then the second front post stitch is going to come back and connect to the first one. So we're going to have a little cross action going on here. So to start, you notice the last 2 rounds we have no defining landmarks. It's just a single crochet all the way around. So we're actually going to go based off of these spike stitches from a couple of rounds ago. So what we want is the 6th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one right here, and all you need to do is follow that stitch up to the one directly above it in the last round. So again, the 6th one, just go up 1 stitch, up another stitch. Right there is where we're going to start this. So connect your yarn, join there. That counts as our first single crochet, and we want a set of 4 total. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now come our overlay front post stitches. As I said, this first one's not going to come straight down and connect to the one here. Our first one's actually going to go over and connect to the one on this side. So we're going to do treble, so front post treble. Again, if you need that extra yarn over, go for it. We're going to come here and go around the second or left hand front post from before and finish the stitch out. Right there. Skip the one back here and 2 single crochet will bring us to the other side. Now with this one, we're just going to go right over here and grab the front post from here, the one we skipped. So yarn over twice or 3 times if you need to. Just come back over your work, grab that front post here, right around it, and finish the stitch. Just like that. So we end up having them cross over each other and give us this X right here. So remember to skip the one here, and to finish the repeat we just need 7, and that should bring us to that 6th spike stitch on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And if you look, our next stitch is the one that's directly above that spike stitch there. So that's exactly what we want. That's our repeat. Again, we're going to start, excuse me, we're going to start in the stitch above this spike stitch here, 4 single crochet. Our first front post is going to come to the second white one here, skip a stitch, 2 single crochet, now a front post to the one we skipped here, so back over the other one, skip 1 stitch, and 7 single crochet to finish out the repeat. That's it. 6 times all the way around, 5 more, and we're ready to continue on. Round 23 is the black yarn, and it's just single crochets all the way around, so feel free to join up wherever you feel like, and just do a single crochet in every single stitch, and that's it. So we'll see you on the other side. Okay, for round 24, I'm going to go back to my variegated yarn. Feel free to use the same one you used here or down here if you used a different color, or any color you feel like, just so long as it's different from this black and white that we've had going on here. Again, these individual rounds are just little pops of color, so if you have a bunch of ends or some scrap yarn left, go ahead and use that instead. Normally, we're just going to do single crochet and spikes alternating around here. Wouldn't necessarily matter where you start, but because I want to use this as a landmark a couple of rounds later to start a round, now I care where I start so that I know exactly where those spikes are going to be. So what you want to do is start in a stitch above, sorry, here, the left hand overlay stitch, this front post, go above that into the black stitch here, and that's where we're going to join. That's my first single crochet, and the pattern, it's actually not 15 here, it's just 3, and you're going to repeat it 30 times. Just go all the way around with it. It's just single crochet, spike, single crochet. That's it. So single crochet, spike, single crochet. And you'll notice the only thing you want to be careful with here is you do end up with 2 single crochets between your spikes. So single, spike, single, single, spike, single, gives you 2 in between. So that's it, that's the pattern. It's just those 3 stitches again and again all the way around. You end up doing it actually 30 times here because we have 90 stitches around. So just make sure you always end up with 2 single crochet between your spikes and you're good to go. So finish that up and I'll see you for the next one. Okay, round 25 is up. It's the orange yarn and just a single crochet in every stitch. So it doesn't matter where you start wherever you feel like. I'm gonna start over here. Single crochet in every stitch. We're gonna have a few more like this or more like this in these upper rounds of the bag because we're not doing as many different colored overlay stitches. So we just have some individual pops of color. So orange gives a nice bright color here. Just single crochet all the way around. That's it. See you on the next side.